Okay, in this class, we'll be talking about palatals. Palatals are very important, and there are five palatals we'll be discussing in this class. Um, but before I get into the technicals of palatals, I want to sort of introduce you what palatals are. Right. So, how do we define really what palatals are? So, just as an exercise, try to pronounce these words with me. Okay, so when you say change, just focus on this sound, change, and then ch part of it. And then similarly, when you say job, job, and then when you say sing, sing, right? So see. So all of these words, when you're saying it, right? Change, job, sing, not necessarily for sing, but especially for change and job, right? Uh, if you pay very close attention, right, you will notice that the flat part of your tongue is touching the palatal, right? It's touching the hard palate, change and jaw, as opposed to the other like word. For example, if you say tension or day, just focus on these two, tension and day. So when you say tension, day, 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 right? So here you will see the tip of your tongue is touching the top part of your mouth or your palate. Whereas here you will see the flat part. Flat part of your tongue is touching the hard palate. Change or jaw. I hope the distinction is very clear. Let me repeat that again. When you say change or jobs, right, you will notice that the flat part of your tongue is touching the hard palate, the top. Here, pay attention or day. Your tip of the tongue is touching the hard palate. So that's the clear distinction. And we define these two sort of words as your like palatals. Whereas these will be, retroflex, which we'll be covering in the next class. So in general, palatals are, consonants where the flat part of your tongue is touching the palate. That's why they are known as palatals. Now we'll get into what are the known palatals in the Hindi language. So there are five palatals in Hindi language. I'll first write them all down in this, on the whiteboard, and then we'll get into the specifics of each of them. The first one is, we write it like this, ch, and we'll go into each of them. Second one is, so you can write it like ch. Second one is ch. Third one is known as j. Fourth one is j. They can be a little bit like difficult, but once we go into each of them systematically, it will start making sense to you. And the fifth one, it's not used that frequently, but the sound is, you can think of as near. So most of the time in this class we'll be, focusing on, I'll write down the fifth one in case if you cannot see this on the whiteboard. It's basically written like this, and the sound is near. Most of the time we'll be spending in on today's class learning about the four consonants: ch, ch, j, and j. Similar to last time, the concept, I hope you can still follow it, that this is unaspirated version and this is aspirated version. When I say aspirated version, that means like, you feel the flow of air when you're saying the earlier consonant. Ch, ch, and then this one is j, j, right? Unaspirated, aspirated, unaspirated, aspirated. Okay, so I hope you are able to follow it. Feel free to write down on the chat box if you have any question. Yeah, exactly. So the concept is still the same. This is ch or ch if you want to say it. You can what you can do is the trick is you can cover your mouth and you can pronounce the earlier consonants. If you cover your mouth and say ch, it will come as ch because the air is coming when you're trying to pronounce ch. Similarly, if you want to say j, try to say j with like by covering your mouth, and you will see the air pressure, and that will help you pronounce j correctly. Right. So let's take each of them one by one and learn them. Right. Okay, so the first consonant or the first palatal that we have is ch. Even though phonetically I should be writing it as CHA, but the close phonetical here would be CH, ch, ch. Okay. Now, what is the trick to remember this particular consonant? How do you write it? It looks like a hook to me, right? Or you can think of it like you draw a small horizontal line with a semicircle and then like a bar, right? So step one would be draw like this. Step two would be draw a horizontal line with a semicircle, and then step three would be this, and then vertical line, and that's it. Sure, simple as that. Right? What are some of the known like words? How can you like sort of practice the relevant words here? So I picked up some of the words like both Hindi and English words which can get you can hang off like what the sound will be. So when you say the same sound, when you say church, it's available. The sound is available in English also. Church, church. Again, you will notice that the flat part of your tongue is touching the palate, right? Uh, Chammach. Chammach is basically spoon in Hindi. Chammach. Here also you will have the word. Sorry, the letter ch here, right? Chashma. Chashma. So ch again. Chashma is your eyeglasses. Okay. Um, so church, chammach, chashma. Let's have some more examples. And feel free to write down on the chat box if you can, like think of more sound that has ch in it. So if you remember the verb chalna, and I use quite often in all the lectures pretty much. So here also there's a the sound of ch, chalna, and then panch. Chalna is to walk, and similarly panch. Arch is nothing but the letter pi. Arch. So here also, towards the ending, you will see that your that part of your tongue is touching the palate. That's why it is like chair sound. Okay. Similarly, like another one, number four, char. So here, char, number four. That's also a chair sound here. And then, as one of the students pointed out, teacher, teacher. So as you can rightly see it here, the sound here in between is ch, teacher. There are some, variation also. So if you focus here, like char is a variation of ch sound. It's char. Okay, so there is r is also coming here. As you can see, the consonant has like a sound of vowel r. Similarly, like another variation I have is China. So even when China, it's basically ch. I hope you can see it. I'll erase it so that you can see. So when you say China, is nothing but your ch is your consonant with a sound. Okay, and the resultant would be ch followed by one more vertical bar. Cha, cha. Okay. So this was our like first palatal. And feel free to write down if you can think of some more examples here or some more like words which has the chair sound, right? Um, your exercise here would be to write down all the variation of chair. So the first exercise here is that you take chair and you add all the vowel sound in it. And if you are attending for the first time, you can follow the same playlist from the Hindi University, and you will learn about all the available vowels, like 12 vowels. So e, right, all of them, and you can write down what the resultant um, consonant will be. So I can tell you cha plus a would be cha, cha plus a would be cha, and then I'll let you complete the rest of them. But it'll be a very good exercise. If you are an advanced student, you can also think of, you can also like consider exercise two as like finding out at least two examples of each sound. So cha plus e, chi, cha plus e, chi, right? So think, write down all of them, and you can also like try to at least see if you can like come up with some words. Clear? Alright. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to write down on the chat box. I'll be more than glad to go over the concept if you have any, question. Otherwise, let's start with our next consonant here, which is ch. So this is ch. Okay, ch. So as I mentioned, it's basically ch plus aspirated sound. So say cheer with like by putting your hand on the mouth, so that way a lot of air is coming when you're saying it, and that will help you get the word. That will help you get the sound ch. Okay. I'm not sure if there's an equivalent like sound available in Hindi, sorry, in English language. But I'll so what I decided is like I'll go over like some of the Hindi words that I have with me, so that way you understand this particular consonant. And this is an also opportunity for you to know, to understand some more like Hindi vocabulary words. Again, it's ch, ch. Okay. Again, your flat part of the tongue is touching the palate. That's why it's a palatal. So let's have examples here of ch. Examples of ch is one would be chat, chat, and the way you write it is like chat, ch. Don't read it as chart because that's also a very famous like appetizer. But read it as chat, right? Chhat is nothing but a ceiling. So if you have a house, the ceiling of the house is also known as chat, right? Chat, say that with me, chat. Okay. Um, Another one, I don't have that many examples here, but we'll try to cover as much as I can. Second one is like think of it as mooch. This is mooch, Moocha, mooch. Mooch is nothing but your mustache. Mustaches in Hindi. Mustache. Mooch. Mooch also has like a ch sound in it. Right? If you remember from some of our earlier classes, I used like the word students quite a lot. Um, Students, like one of the ways, there are many ways to say students, um, uh, but one would be chhatra. Chhatra is a variation of ch because there's a a sound in it there, but again, it's a good practice to know cha because cha is simply cha. When you put a, it comes with a vertical bar. Chhatra. Okay, chhatra. And the way you write it is like C-H-A, chhatra. Okay, so just to repeat, is chat, which is ceiling, mooch, which is mustaches, and then chhatra, which is student. Student. Okay. So just to be very clear, chhatra is referred to it refers to male student, and the female would be chhatra. So it's like cha and then tra. Don't worry about it if you don't follow this particular consonant. We'll be covering it, in the later classes. So here the sound would be cha and then tra. It would be a female student. So that's also a ch sound. Um, okay, exercise here would be that you think of um, sound where you can like you try to find words where you can get this sound ch. Okay, if you heard the letter ch, I mean the last one we did four, which is cha, and then we did panch. Both of them had ch there. But like this letter ch, right? Ch is number six, and that it also has like a ch sound in it. So the base sound is still ch. Very good. I think one of the students also pointed out the base sound is also the same ch. Um, think of more. If you can think about it, that'll be great. I mean, that's like a good exercise to like kind of have some kind of exercise there. So, right. So that's the second consonant in the palatal series. I'll take a quick pause here to see if anybody has a question or comments in the student panel, so that way you can write down on the chat box. You can also think of some city names which has ch in it. Very good. Right. So now one of the examples which is shared here is Chhatri. Cha. Don't worry about the last one. But however, I would insist, like even though you don't know what this consonant is as of now, you can still see that there's a waterfall on the right hand side. So there is an e sound in it, right? So it's ch, the, definitely e sound, chhatri, right? So the base sound is r, but with the presence of this right hand side waterfall, it's chhatri. And chhatri is nothing but umbrella. Awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that one. So Chhatri, as you can see, the base, the first two, the letters are Chat, which is like ceiling. All right. So I think we're all set to next to the jump to the next uh, consonant, which is like a very common sound in English and Spanish language as well. So the next one I have is J. By the way, how do you remember Ch? If you have a trick, feel free to write it down. In my mind, it's basically the mirror image of number three with like a funny tail. Right. So step one would be uh, flip number three, okay, and then you know have a P basically there, either a funny tail or make a P at the bottom. That's how it's the easy way to remember ch. Okay. Now jump to the next consonant. This one should be really easy since it's a very common sound, and we say it as j. J. Now, if you remember the first one, they're very similar actually, so it's very easy to get confused. You write ch like this, and you write j like this, right? So it's so the distinction here is like the vertical bar, it's coming first, and the hook is coming later on. Where in j, this is j, and this is j. In j, you have the hook coming first, and after that the vertical bar. And so pay close attention when you are like learning to write it. It's especially if you're learning the Hindi script, for the first time, it's very easy to make mistakes, between ch and j, right? So some of the easy way to remember is like again, here you have like a semicircle. That's a step one. Semicircle, and then with a horizontal bar, step two, and then semicircle, horizontal bar, and a vertical bar. J, J. Okay, there is no air coming. Some of the examples here would be word like jungle, J, jungle, clear and simple. Right? Another would be jug, jug, and then judge. It also has a J sound in it, judge, or uh, Hindi word, jahaj. Uh, in basically, if my understanding is correct, in Spanish it can be pronounced as her, but in Hindi it's j, right? J, jahaj. And maybe in Spanish also, in some occasions, like it will pronounced as her, not all the time. So it's jahaj. Jahaj is nothing but a ship. Okay. Um, let's take more examples of j, and then we'll move to the variations of j. Right. Uh, I'll take one more example here, which is jal. Jal is nothing but ja, and then there is an and the meaning is water. Jal. Like so far, we're using word called pani for water, but jal is also commonly used for water, right? Now let's do the variation of ja. So some of the examples I already have on the chat boxes. Jam, jam. As you can see, when you're saying jam, it's a variation of j. There is an a sound in it. Now your exercise is whether it's this a or the other a. You have to sort of think about it and let me know. When you say jam, are you saying it like a soft A or the bigger A, the hard A, right? Jam. Second variation is juta. Juta. Okay. We learned two oo and oo, right? So basically, the resultant would be whether it's when you're writing juta, which is shoe, a shoe. Are you using this Jew or the other Jew, right? So this is the first one, O, and this is the bigger one, O. Um, I'll be a little bit easy here, so I'll give you the answer here. So when you say juta, it's basically you put emphasis there on the U sound, and that's why it's the bigger U, juta. Let's have some more variation of j. And just people who are joining on the chat box, you can think of country names also, so that way we can cover variety here. We'll have some, like, towards the end of all the consonants, what I do, I'll pick up a set of vocabulary words for, because I have some limitation when I'm going over it, but what I'll do is I will learn reading also with the help of vocabulary words. So I'll take a series of vegetables and like animals. And so we'll write down all the vegetables, animals in Hindi script. And that way, not only will learn vocabulary, but will also strengthen the understanding of vowels and consonants. So let's quickly come back to J here. So when you say Japan, in Hindi, when you're saying Japan, basically, mostly in Hindi, like writing, it will be written as Ja, um, which is a little different than how you say it in English, Japan, right? But in Hindi, it would be Ja and then Pan. So as you can see, it's R. So it will be J followed by a vertical bar, Ja, Ja. Okay. Now, what about Jupiter planet, right? Jupiter. It's also a variation of our J sound. So there is a J followed by a U, U, right? Jupiter. Now again, it's an exercise for you whether it's a small U. I don't think you can read it here on the whiteboard, so let me just quickly erase it and write down again. So when you say Jupiter, as of now, just focus on it, like whether it's J sound. Now think of it whether it's using U or U, right? So whether it's Ju or Ju, Jupiter. So it's sound like put that comes with U or the other one, the softer one, right? Pull, right? So I hope this sound is very clear as well. Any other examples you can think of on Java, even if it is in your language, feel free to write down. So that way we can cover it on the whiteboard as well. Any questions? Is it clear, this particular consonant? Okay. So let's jump to the next one now, which is J, which is the aspirated version of J. So even on this one, the exercise is still the same. By the way, the J that we cover. So your exercise is like add all the you know uh, vowels to it and write down the. Actually, I'll cover it to make it easy for you in this particular class, so that at least you took one consonant and created all the variations here. But only one I'll be covering it. The rest of them, I think, let's give it as an exercise. Okay, so let's look at the last one, which is j. Sure. And again, this is also an aspirated sound of the earlier consonant j. I'm not sure if there's equivalent sound available, at least in the English language here. So most of the examples, I'll be covering are from the Hindi, language and Hindi vocabulary world. The easiest way to remember j is like remember the vowel that we practiced, e, right? E. So first, step one would be write down E. Step two would be, write down E with like a small horizontal bar. Step three would be write down E with the horizontal bar and the vertical bar. And even for if you remember E, we learned it like the way S. Write down S, looks like a swan. S with the tail which is going on the right hand side, right? So S with the tail going right hand side, horizontal bar, vertical bar. Practice it a few times and then you'll get a hang of it. It's one of the difficult consonant to practice. Right? J. So now let's look at this sound. Like, what are some of the examples of this sound? J. So, if you remember waterfall, the word in Hindi for waterfall is jharna. Jharna. It's basically waterfall. Jharna. Waterfall. Next one would be janda. Janda. J. So here also the sound is janda is nothing but your flag. It could be flag of your state or country or your team. It's janda, right? Um, as one of the students rightly pointed out, jadu, ja, lu. So as you can see, it's ja. So even though ja is written like this, but in this case there is a a sound coming here. So basically it's ja, jadu, right? Jadu. What else? Can you think of some more words which has ja sound? And feel free to write down on the chat box if you can think of more sound. Uh, I can give you one more here, so that way we'll have some more varieties. Okay, this is continuation of ja. So this is, however, a variation. When you say June, so ja, and when I say June, Ju, June. Anybody remember what it means? June. Okay. June is nothing but a lie. Lie. June. Okay. What about, so this is June, Tha, Jutha. So you have a, June here, an adjective. Now you have June. I just put a. Can you think of what it would mean? Jutha. Very good. Liar. Very good. Excellent. So June is your lie. Jutha is your liar. Right? Similarly, just a quick variation. If you say such is your truth. Such. I'll actually write down. The opposite of jute is such. Such is you pronounce it as such. It means like either a fact or truth. Such. So similar to the earlier one, when you say sucha, which is sir, and then hafcha and sucha, right? So jute was lie, jhutha was liar. Similarly, such is a truth or fact. Satya would be anybody would like to attempt it. What would it mean? Satya. I'll give you a few more seconds to think. You can use it a chat box or you can write on the YouTube comment. What would it mean? Satya. That's right. It would mean honest person or a person who's speaking the truth. Someone who's speaking the truth. I'll write it down on the side. Actually, I'm not sure if you can read it. So it's like someone speaking truth. So a lot of the nouns are basically derived from the adjective in Hindi. Um, so again, it's like we will be covering it extensively, as we go into more advanced level. But I think I still want to sort of like give you a flavor of it, so that way it's you know you might get used to it and you start appreciating more and more. All right, so all right. I think we covered it. And okay, there's one more which came as a comment, which is Jagra. Jagra. Jagr. So don't worry about it if you don't follow the last one. It's basically Jagra. Jagra is fight. Jagra is fight. There's one more verb which is similar to this, which means Jagadna. It also has like a J sound in it. However, if you remember, this particular uh, word, Jagadna, it's a verb. It's a verb. Right? Jagadna is to fight. Jag- Jagadna is to fight. So, whereas Jagda is a fight. When you say Jagda ho raha hai, that means like a fight is happening or fight is taking place. Right? When I say मैं झगड़ रहा हूँ, that means I am fighting. Right? So I'll quickly write it down again just to give you a flavor of it. So that way you don't have to because sometimes I can be a little bit fast, right? So writing it is easier. झगड़ा हो रहा है. झगड़ा हो रहा है. So if you see, we have हो रहा. So it's होना becomes हो रहा, present continuous. Fight is taking place or fight is happening. Fight is taking place. As opposed to, let's say, वह वह झगड़ वह झगड़ रहा and है. वह झगड़ रहा है. वह is he. And we can tell it's he because it's raha. If it was वह female, it would be वह झगड़ रही है. So she, it would be in this case he, and because it's continuous, it would be he is fighting. वह झगड़ रहा है. So I hope it is, we took a slight tangent, but I hope it's, for to develop some better understanding in you, so that I hope it's interesting to you. So the last one, as I mentioned, you won't be seeing a lot of like examples of near this sound near, which is the last palatal. It's basically referred as NIA or NYA. You won't be seeing a lot of like words which has this particular sound. So I'm not going to spend too much time here unless you guys have any questions or you can think of like uh, you guys can think of like word which has like this particular sound, and I can tell you whether it's a right or wrong. But it's not used that much in Hindi. Most of the time, if you're reading some of the uh, Sanskrit literature, it's mostly used there. I tried to look for like some simpler examples, but I couldn't find one. So it's okay if we skip this as for the timing, and as we develop more understanding of the consonants, I'll give you. I try to see and research some simpler examples of near sound as well. Right now, as I mentioned, we still have some time. Okay, so as I mentioned, what I'll do is I'll take one consonant and I write down the variations of it. So for this particular class, I thought of J. Again, J would be one semicircle, horizontal bar, and the vertical bar. So I thought of like writing all the variations of J, and then as an exercise, you can take the remaining consonants and then write down the variations of them. So again, if we put a here, I won't be able to fit all of them, but I think we'll do in batches. So small e, capital E, right? And then small o, and then capital O. Right? So we have done this one. The outcome would be nothing but the same consonant, which proves basically all the base consonants has like a sound by default. J has by default a sound, right? And J, as we said, is jungle, jahaj, jug, judge. Right? All of them have J sound. This one, the outcome would be J followed by a vertical bar, ja. And we covered it in this class, right? Which is like uh, Japan, right? That we covered in one of the examples. Japan, there's a sound in it, right? Um, right. Third one is E. Now I'll ask a question: where will be the matra? Is it on the left hand side or on the right hand side? The waterfall which I referred to. Should I put the waterfall on the left hand side or on the right hand side here? Okay, very good. So here this is would be E. The waterfall would be on the left hand side. G. Right? Example of G would be, think of it as like gym. When you say gym, it's gym, not G. It's gym. Right? Similarly, you heard this Zindagi, right? You heard it quite a lot in Hindi movies. Zindagi, right? It's also the closest, sound to this thing, Z. I think they put some dot. They put dot in the bottom, one dot at the bottom, because it's like derived one. But again, it's like we are referring to the smaller e, Zindagi. Okay. Similarly, here it's E. So G would be the E would be on the right hand side, right? Um, the equivalent examples would be sub G. These is sub G. Sub G is nothing but a vegetable. Sub G, right? Sub G. And all the like I'm sure by now you've heard all the titles in Hindi, and usually we put G at the end of the name of, and to give respect to people. Even in that, you would put, you will refer to this G, like Mukherjee or like Khanna ji or anybody where if you want to give them respect, right? You will give, you'll put E on the matra on the right hand side. Now this one who would be again. Any idea where will be the oo's, like matra, left hand side or right hand side? Oh, I'll give a few more seconds here. Okay, so here also, the funny tail would be on the left hand side, you. As a result of putting U, the matra will be, if you remember it, like, the consonant will remain the same, but to give it U sound, the matra will be on the left hand side, right? Examples of U would, can think of some more examples here for U. If you've been to Mumbai, you must have heard of Juhu Beach, right? Juhu Beach, right? So there's U sound, right? Let's see, there's one example here. Yeah, that's right. So, oh, Juhu, if you've been to Mumbai, that's one of the things I can think of right now. And then here, as a result of this matra will be on the right hand side. Ju, right? Example here would be Juta that we discussed. Juta, shoe, right? Juta. I'm not sure if you can read it here. So this sound will be J and this sound. This like matra on the right hand side, Ju. Let's do the rest of them. So I'll erase it and we'll discuss the remaining variations of J. I hope the repetition also helps you understand the variation of all the, like how to write down the variation of all the remaining consonants. Now we'll do A, the smaller A with I, the bigger A, O, ow, and then un, which is half ends the nasalized sound, and re, right? And so in this case, the outcome would be, now can you think of like how many matras will I put on top of it? How many uh, on top? Okay, one. So it's basically J, right? Examples would be like your J. J is pocket in Hindi. Pocket, your pocket in your shirt or pant, right? So that's is referred to as J, right? So that's one uh, matra on top, J. Jai, right? So this is like you have two matras on top. This one, Jai. Again, the easiest way to remember it, your hook followed by the horizontal bar, vertical bar, and then two matras on top, right? Just give me a quick minute so that way I can quickly mute everyone. Okay, so that's like now in this one, in this jag, we have two matras. Again, you can also think of some more examples. The one I have, it's like, if you've been to one of the touristy place in India, it's called Jaisalmer. It's like the desert part of like my state, Rajasthan, Jaisalmer. So that's you have you say it as Jai, Jai. There are two matras on top, like Jaisalmer, right? If you remember, like some of the keywords in Hindi, we used keywords like Jaisa, right? So it's basically Jaisa, Jaisa. Right? Jaisa is like for example, if you use it like as such, basically, right? I mean, जैसा करोगे वैसा मिलेगा, right? I mean, it's one of the phrases, uh, but जैसा is like actually. आप जैसा, like you, right? मेरे जैसा, like me. Right? So I think I have one video where I have discussed this particular keyword as well. So you can look up there as well. I can put a link of that video, toward the completion of this class. Jesa. That's also the J with I sound. J. Right, J. Now, similarly here, how many matras will go on top of J? So it's J plus O. Yeah, I'll give that link for sure. So it's Joe. So it's one basically Joe, and it's exactly same as when you write like a when you think of the like a name Joe, you literally like this, literally like write it like this Joe. Joe would be Joe with a horizontal bar and then like a one mark on top of it. Similarly, when you say Joker, Joker would also have like one matra on top, basically, right? O sound. Uh, Now this one it would be Jao, Jao. So there is two matras. So think of it like this way: we just replace a with J, and the rest of the structure remain exactly like this, Jao. And this itself is like one of the word in Hindi, and it's J. Think of it like as Jao, and it's one of the barley actually. The word for like grain barley in Hindi is jo, right? Wheat is gehoon, rice is chawal. Barley, in Hindi is jaw. Again, like what we have done here is, if you look at this particular vowel, it's the simplest way to remember is like replace this like with your j, and that would be your jaw. That would be outcome of you know uh, adding you know O sound on J. Now let's look at this one, the last two. J, and you'll have nasalized. If you want to make it a nasalized sound, it will be Jan. Right. So again, if you've been to like Jaipur in India, there are some ancient clocks where you just by looking at the shadow of some of the structure, you can predict the time. So those structures are known as Jantar Mantar. Right. So I'll write down the how would you say that Jantar Mantar. So here when we say Jantar, right, Jan, there will be a nasalized J. So when you write Jantar, the nasalized J will be Jan. So again J with a dot on top of it would be a nasalized J, Jan. Right? And again, if you like fan of Amir Khan movies, you must have heard of this movie called Janjeer. Janjeer. So Janjeer also like shackles. I think that's the equivalent or chain basically. Right? That's where also the nasalized sound J with a dot on top of it. Jan. Right? And then the last one, but not the least, is j plus re, jri. It's difficult, but I'll write it down here so that way you can see it. I'm not sure if you could see it. It's like j would be there. You have j, and then you have a c at the bottom. Jr, jr, right? Because you added like re sound in it. The final would be jr. Okay.